Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of the Attic Gaming Club.
My feet are warm.
Yeah, as you can hear today we have Dave with us.
As always.
And Tom.
Hello.
Tom R.
Indeed.
Instead of Tom H.
Tom R instead of Tom Ooh.
Yeah, Tom the Pirate R.
Fine, wasn't it?
Yeah, so welcome. Hope everyone's had a good week where it's been horrifically cold here in England.
It has been bad.
It is, but look,
Okay, it's freezing.
we've got a skylight here in the attic in the gaming club, and it's just covered in snow. You just can't see out. It's horrific.
That's what happens when it snows.
I hate snow.
Hi-ho, hi-ho.
It's a very sort of English thing as well, isn't it? The country can withstand most things, but as soon as we get a couple of millimetres of snow, the entire country grinds to a fucking halt.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happened. Sam was going to be joining us today, but when he checked his trains, he discovered that they'd all been cancelled.
Yeah.
In their defence, it did snow intermittently for a good 2 or 3 hours.
Defend
Oh yeah,
trains.
and I've heard that if a train wheel goes over snow, like half an inch worth of slushy water, that the train just instantly explodes. Like their wheels, they make them out of magnesium or something.
Spontaneous train
It's
explosions
called
have been
Michael
known
Bay
to
effect.
happen.
There you go. There you go. So yeah,
It's a shame for Sam as well because he was really hoping to play Among the Stars.
he was.
Which ain't going to happen now because he's a punk.
Maybe next week. Poor Sam. But yeah, so that's us here. But yeah, so should we jump straight into some news? Since
Warriors
I
of
know-
Chaos confirms the next month for Fantasy for next month.
This is news to me.
Well, it's not news.
And I play Chaos. Okay, it was news to me until 5 minutes ago when you told me about it.
There you go.
See, this is why you should be on Twitter, because you don't have to wade through the pages and pages of guesstimated release dates and people posting wish listing as what they've heard as fact. You just get to see the pictures as and when they come out from across the world. So Twitter's the place to be, yo.
So it's not officially confirmed by GW? It's
It's not officially confirmed, but it's in the pictures of White
confirmed
Dwarf.
in pictures.
Yes. Similar to virtually every other release, now that GW are being extremely tight-lipped about what's coming out when.
Yeah.
So we, instead of now knowing about things for about 2 or 3 months in advance,
Because
find
Germany
out,
gets to see it earlier or whatever.
Yeah, we usually find out 2 or 3 weeks in advance.
See, I don't understand that policy. I don't understand why they would not want to hype things up.
I think maybe they don't want people to stop buying certain things while waiting for another. They want people to buy lots of stuff and then go, oh shit, you've redone all my models, I need to buy more.
There could be that. I think they don't want people to think, well, if there's this army out this month, then in 8 weeks there's another army out, I'll wait and get the next one.
Yeah. But it doesn't change the fact, like, if there is an army out, now, if you just look back over the release schedule, you can be like, okay, well then there's probably going to be an army again in 4 or 5 months' time, so it's not...
Well, I don't think they'd mind too much if they were in control of sort of the channel of information, but what seemed to be is that they just... they just had a lot of leaky sources in place, so people were finding out about stuff they didn't necessarily want to find out about. So I think they decided, you know what, if we can't control what you're going to find out about, you're going to find out about nothing.
Nothing else.
It seems to be the only industry stroke company that has that. Video games, as soon as basically they've got something that looks good enough that people can get excited about it, they tell you about it. Technology, we've just had CES, and they're talking about all this new tech and everything. And, it's the same for...
That's what it is. Games Workshop are missing a Games Workshop convention.
That's what...
They need a convention to announce all their stuff.
Surely
well, they
that's
have
what
Games Day.
Games
That's
Day.
just an overpriced pile of nonsense.
Yeah.
Well, it was until they split up the ticket and the model prices, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Let's not have this be Attic Gamers bitch about
GW.
GW week.
As a general rule, we've all seen the pictures now. They're all on Twitter. They're on at least Warseer, possibly on TWF.
Oh, they're a bit blurry, but
They are a bit below. Overall, I think they've done a really good job on them. The Dragon
Yeah,
Ogres especially look awesome.
yeah, the old Dragon Ogres were a bit...
They were good at the time. They were just about
definitely
25 years old now.
When they came out, they were fine. Now they look dated, and they're all metal as well, aren't they? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended
sucks.
up making my own Dragon Ogres, which...
did you buy a dragon and then an ogre and then stick them
No,
together?
the
Cold ones.
Cold Ones and Black Orcs.
Oh, nice.
It's a really nice conversion. Where
What,
you
chop the head off and then stick the Black Orc body on
what you
top?
do, yeah, essentially you cut sort of the bottom third of the Black Orc torso off. I must have put pictures up, well, not for a few years at least. I use them in my Darker Farmers unit feathers. You basically cut down the Cold One neck, so it's the head and then like 3 or 4 millimetres of neck, and you cut down the Black Orc torso at the bottom, and it just kind of it fits really quite nicely into the bit where the Cold One neck would usually go. And with a little bit of green stuffing, and you cut down the saddle so it looks like it's just armor placing.
Yeah, sure.
Little bit of green stuffing required, but it looks really nice.
Cool.
I'll try and get.
Now
some
you don't need to do
them
that.
somewhere. Yeah, you don't need to. The problem you did have them was that because it used the Black Orc arms. The arms in some cases looked like they were too stubby to actually bring the weapon down over the neck. If they held it in both hands, it looked like it would be constantly whacking itself in the back of the skull. Yeah, they were nice little conversions. A few people did them, but now these new ones look really cool. And I am not planning on doing a warrior's army. It's very tempting, but I'm not planning on
Unless you want to buy me some.
No, but I want those dragon ogres for no other reason than shiny.
To replace the ones you currently got?
No, just I want them.
Okay.
They are super nice models.
Yeah.
I do like them.
And
what else was
the
there?
moulds are up to the usual GW plastic standard that's been
Yeah, they
coming
will
up.
be. You know, its first run especially will be nice and sharp
Yeah.
and very little mould lines.
Looks like my wallet's going to take a hit soon.
Couple of new monsters, which will probably be Bent.
Yeah, there was like a corn demon juggernaut that didn't have any
Something
armour
like
and
that,
a
yeah.
Tzeentchi spawn that had lots of extra gribblies coming out of it.
Yeah, and a vortex of some sort. That's bad for Adam, you weren't fond of.
I didn't really like the vortexy thing, but I liked the whole.
Is that the Tzeentchi looking one?
Yeah, I didn't mind the model.
It had
I
like
just
a big
didn't.
swirl on the side
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Maybe it's just the angle and the blurry
The
picture.
Hentaisaurus.
That's what I was going to say. From now on,
Tentacles everywhere.
it's got to be the Japanese schoolgirl attacking Saurus.
Oh, there's a convert. Right, first person in model battle with a Japanese school on the base running away from it wins the internet.
Yeah, I think so. I'm sure.
In fact, they win all my spare element games dice. Go. Do it now. I've got like 10 to give away.
I have like loads
me.
of Relic Knight stuff, and there are loads of schoolgirls in that one, so I reckon we could cobble that together quite easily.
There
It
you
could
go.
happen.
Hentaisaurus, it's got to happen.
Excellent. And then we got 2 new chariots as well. One,
Oh, yeah.
it's probably going to be a dual kit, we think. You know,
I
the
would
same
assume
as
They've
the
been
other
doing
ones.
that with everything else so far, haven't they?
Yeah. So you got one with nice, big, beefy horses that look like the ones that the knights ride. You know, and you got one with some.
Some kind of beast.
Cross
it looks-
between like a rhino and a gorilla.
Yeah, it's like a beast.
I was
of
going to say
burden.
like a big toad or something, so it's
Yeah.
like rhino and toad. It's kind of sitting there with his big arms
Yeah,
into the
but it
ground.
looks cool.
Hello, magnetisation.
Yeah,
Model for Throg, which looks quite cool.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's cool. An ogre, a troll with like a cape and stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty funky, even if you don't.
It's the only
use
way
his-
to make trolls look better. Put the cape on them.
Yeah, I like trolls. I don't.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I've actually been pleasantly surprised at how relatively few skulls there are on this. Now, considering it's a Warriors of Chaos release, there's
It's
going to
just-
be more than usual, but
Yeah.
they haven't sort of done what I was scared they would do, which is that the chariot chassis is a giant skull being ridden by models
yeah.
wearing skulls on
Bit
their
too cheesy.
skull-encrusted skull armour.
With weapons
With-
that are skulls holding
Yeah.
skulls.
Skull wheels.
It's relatively tastefully done.
The old chariot wasn't too bad, apart from the big skull you had front and centre with the brace coming out for the horses. That was.
There's nothing wrong with the old chariot. It's just too small.
Yeah, that was it. It was too small.
The new one, I do like the way that they've kind of like it's almost 2 layered, isn't it? It's like
Yeah, you've got the
The
rider at the
Slanesh.
front, a bit lower down, and then the big guy at the back.
yeah, it's like the Slanesh one where they've got the whatever guy with the whip at the front, and then a raised platform with the herald or whatever at the back. So kind of taking the same approach.
Oh, you mean the war shrine?
No, the Slanesh. What's it called?
Oh,
Cha-
for the demons.
Soul, not grinder. They released the Slanesh chariots recently.
They
Vaguely
the
for
Hellstride.
demons.
Yeah, for
It's
demons.
the, like
Okay,
the,
fine.
the platform of excess. Or
Yeah,
something
that
like
kind of stuff, and they have that same. If you remember,
Which
the
nobody
2
ever
layer.
has used. Apparently, I've never seen one.
Really,
Never seen.
I don't particularly like the models, but
We've got 2 new Chaos Lords, one of whom I quite like, the other I really like, apart from his head, which just seems a bit shrunken inside. The
I had a
armour.
thing for Chaos Champion and Lord models as well, so I'll probably end up buying them and just sticking them in front as unit champions.
yeah, I think that guy looks like the Beelzebub from Pick of Destiny. With his head.
Yeah,
You should paint him red.
yeah, I might do that.
Beelzebos.
Yeah.
Speaking of Chaos Lord models, I was looking at the Avatars of War line,
yeah.
which until recently I hadn't actually ever taken a proper look at, and they got some mighty fine stuff.
They do indeed.
They're Croxigor or Lizard Giant or whatever they call
Yeah.
it, which has even got like some of the symbols that you find on normal lizardmen from GW, like the snake that goes back on itself.
Yeah.
Is awesome. But even more awesome are the Barbarian and Chaos Horde type stuff. So they got a Lord with 2 different options. The one with a skull helmet, I think, looks a bit cartoony, not so good, and his shield's a bit rubbish. But the guy that's got a human head and he's got like a hammer and an axe, he looks damn awesome. And then there's like a couple of Barbarian types, which would be better for Marauders. So one's got a bit like an Urukai helmet on, so it's like full facing, and he's got a big double axe above his head that he's swinging down. And then there's a couple of more standard champion warriors that are standing there posing with their axes, but they're all about like £11.
Okay, a little cheaper than GW.
I think was it Total Wargamer had a 30% off on a couple of them and 20% off on the rest, which made them the cheapest when I looked around.
Right.
But for all the ones I want, it's still looking like 50 to 60 quid.
Well, those new GW ones, it's kind of hard to see the pricing, but it looks like
they're probably going to be 11 as well.
16.
15, 16. Look at £35 for Throg on his own. Something similar for the Dragon Ogres. For books, maybe going to be £30. And obviously, you know, unless you're a die-hard GW supporter, I don't think many people buy from GW anymore.
No.
Yeah. If you wander into the store and you look at stuff and you have a bit of an impulse, but you don't go into a GW store thinking, right, what am I going to get for my army?
I know some people who do. Some people are very adamant that they should support GW, and I tend to think that's all very well and fine, but GW don't really care. They're getting a decent amount of money anyway. If you look at the profit they made on these most recent figures they've released, they seem to be doing very well for themselves.
Have they done alright with them?
I don't want to quote any exact figures now because I'd have to.
Well, it's interesting that they're doing
like
alright, so that the hobby
£20
continues
million
more
profit or something. So they're doing particularly. They're doing well at the moment.
I suppose the benefit of going through third-party shops is that they may not get as much profit direct, but they don't have the overheads of running their own store, do they? So
I had no problem. I had no problem supporting GW when I used their facilities. So when Brent Cross was still open, GW Brent Cross, that was where I used to play. I used to go there once a week and play a game, and if I needed something, I'd pick it up from them. For the extra sort of couple of quid that I was spending in the store, I figured, well, gaming clubs are going to charge you a couple of quid a week to play there anyway, usually. So the difference is fine. I have no problem with that.
Time spent searching for models online and buying them, and maybe shipping as well, so
and
it
I can
all balances out.
Pick it up and look at the box and stuff. So I got no problem with it. But if I'm not using any of their facilities and stuff, then as far as I'm considered, the kind of extra money that I would have paid, I take that back, sort of thing, and probably end up spending it on more models from them anyway.
They've certainly got the right idea with their online, it being free delivery, anything over £10. I'm sure that helps them out a bit, because if they charge for delivery, I don't think they sell anything online.
For sales in this particular industry.
Definitely. Every industry, hence the reason why we had Jessup's HMV
and
Blockbuster go down in 1 week.
Yeah, pretty much inside of 10 days, I think.
Yeah.
You see, Game have decided they're looking to buy up 45 of the HMV stores if they can. But they said there's a caveat, only for places where there isn't already a game store. So they're learning at least. Having 3 of the same shop on the same high street isn't a good idea. Yeah. You idiots.
They're not McDonald's, they can't do that.
Yeah. They used to, and then they learnt.
It was when you had...
And you had the game
station and a game station. Yeah. But they always used to do that. Do you remember EB? When they had Electronics Boutique, they would have an EB and a game. It was the same company.
EB rocked. They were really disorganised, but I kind of liked the little hidey holes you'd find in the side with all the PC games. When they actually sold PC games.
I'm going to grab this conversation and try to get back on track.
On track.
So, New WOC probably out early next month to mid next month. It looks pretty shiny. Bandwagon incoming.
Yeah.
Me want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that being like the metagame and tournament?
No, bandwagon is everyone's going New WOC. Shiny, it's all good. Everyone does it.
Oh, it means everyone's going to be...
Yeah, everyone's going to jump on the wagon.
That means I'm going to have to pull out my hipster. I did it before you did it, Card.
Oh, yeah. Just like when Wood Elves get redone, you're going to get another... About 50,000 people coming out of Wood Elves. Oh, I've played Wood Elves since... minus 12th edition. They're my favourite army. I've been meaning to get them. No, you haven't. You're just lying because you have a new filth.
Yeah. You can tell if you play me, I'm not that into the meta or whatever, because I won't have a particularly competition-y list. I'll have a fluffy one.
Fair enough.
But whatevs.
There you go.
So,
but Warriors of Chaos.
In other news from me,
No more news from you.
I realise it's not actually pronounced Mears, but I don't want to do them the service of pronouncing their name properly, so they will be called Mears for now. My Mears Miniatures Tree Man arrived. Took 8 days to arrive, which is longer than I like stuff that I pay for to arrive. But it got here. It's all in one piece. Really nice kit. If you go onto their website and just type in tree or oak, it's the Oak Enter, I think they call it. Just a really cool Tree Man model for my Tree Man Ancient. Going together really nicely. I've not started gluing it together yet, but I gave it the warm water wash that you're meant to do of resin models before I came out this evening. So I'm going to get to work on assembling that, and it was actually a really nice kit to clean. It all goes together quite well. Not too many mould lines, not too much flash.
Especially with resin.
Yeah, really nice material to work with.
While we're on this subject, though, special mention has to be said of their website. It is the most abominably bad website I've ever had the misfortune of clamping my eyes on ever.
How do you actually say their name? Because I don't know who they are.
We are not going to say it.
It's
the company that...
Maelstrom or Maelstrom.
Oh, those guys, okay. Fine.
Yeah, it's their
It's
company.
called Mercia. Or,
And, you know, Maelstrom Games' website was pretty shit anyway. And this one seems like they've taken no lessons from how shit their website was, and they just made it black and made it look like a freaking FreeWebs website from the 1990s. You know, I kept expecting to see a flying toaster going across the screen or a dancing Jesus.
Is it a bit like Dark Sphere's site? Because, I mean, theirs isn't that bad.
Dark Sphere is ghetto, but at least you can navigate it.
Yeah, you can.
My biggest issue with the NIRS website is that because obviously they're aping GW products to an extent, they're filling those gaps in range, and they're doing a very nice job of it with some of those models. The problem is because of that, they're not giving them easy GW names. So if you want, so they do something which I was tempted to get, which is it's basically like a Dragon Ogre Shagoff, and I've seen it, so I know they have it. But a guy on their website, I don't have a first clue to look for it. So I type in Dragon Ogre, nothing. The way I actually had to find this on their website was to go onto Google and just click through, type in NIRS Miniatures Shagoff, and just click through links until other people have gone, and found it that way. So because there's unless you already know the name of what you're looking for, unless you're prepared to browse through every last bit of their website, which is a nice enough thing to do because they have some really nice models on there, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking to buy something, it's an absolute ball ache. It's just, do you want my money or not? Yes, make it easy for me to give it to you. It's a very, very simple principle.
It's fine having your own line and calling it all your, funky fantasy names and everything.
But have a keyword in there that other people can find it.
A keyword is good, or having another, like a tree system when you're searching through the website, when you're browsing. So you can say, browse by fantasy models, then by monsters, and then by, say, it can then list them out. So at least you can be like, oh, okay, I know it's a fantasy model I'm looking for. I'm looking for monsters. I'm looking for, whatever, tree people, or, and they can kind of group them together like
tree
this.
Tree people, I like it.
Well, I want it to be politically correct, because, of course, there is that great tree man model that's actually a tree woman from
Ultraforge, I think.
With the Jubblies.
With the Jubblies.
So that's arrived. It'll be getting painted up over the next probably 6 to 8 weeks before I go to the next tournament. There's no rush to get it done, so I'm going to take a bit of time over it. So it arrived later than I wanted it to, but it arrived. And it's a very nice bit of kit.
It arrived before the snowy weekend where it probably would have been lost forever.
Yeah, regardless of whatever else you may want to say about that particular company, it does have to say they do have some exceptionally nice product.
And some crap ones as well, though. Again, I agree with you. Some of them are beautiful. That model's beautiful. Some of the Dragon Ogre ones are beautiful. But what the hell is with their Hydra model?
Yeah.
It looks like it's made... as I said to you when we were looking at it, it looks like the Hydra from Jason and the Argonauts.
It looks like Hydra.
It's made out of plasticine. Like, it's just got no detail. It's all smudgy and... there's no fine detail. I don't
the technical term for a bad model, smudgy.
Yeah.
Smudgy. There you go.
Oh well, let's move on a pace. Has anyone else got any other news?
Yes. We didn't do the news theme tune. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Boom. There you go.
That's for Channel 4 News, I believe.
I'm going to edit that out. No! Yeah, no news from me, actually, really.
I've got nothing. Just what release is kind of blown anything else I might have remembered to talk about away.
Kickstarters? Anything new?
No, I haven't seen anything, actually. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of stuff on there, but not
I don't look at Kickstarters as a general because I will just...
buy too much.
I'll have no money.
Yeah.
That's the simple reason. There must be at least a dozen projects on there, I'm sure, just thinking of the maths of the amount they have and the amount I'd want to get into. I can't do it myself.
I need to look into Rivet Wars from last week, which I hadn't really looked into yet. I finally did the dice rings thing.
Yeah,
paid for that and sorted everything out.
I do actually have one other bit of news, and this is a really cool bit of news. That's nice to talk about something incredibly positive. I don't know if we've mentioned this for the past, but we've talked about the Game of Thrones board game, 2nd edition.
Did you bring it?
No, I didn't bring it this evening, because we're planning on playing Among the Stars. But I got mine out again the other day after we talked about it.
Easy.
To have a look through it, and to just read up on some of the strategy that people have been putting up online. Mm-hmm. And I realised I'd lost one of the cards from it. And I looked online, and there's no way to... nobody sells them individually. So I was thinking, well, you know what, this is a real pain, because the way the game mechanics work, you can just write on a piece of paper and it won't have too much of an effect. It will just look horrible. But someone had said to me, well, email Fantasy Flight and see what they can do. So I sent Fantasy Flight an email, and I said to them, I've lost my cards. I said to them very plainly, it wasn't, you didn't send this to me, it's, I've lost this. Could you point me towards someone where would be able to send it back to me? Or send me a new one. So fully intending to buy one. They said, okay, well, tell us the card you've lost, and we'll get one sent out to you. So I went, okay, well, it's this card. It's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Got a parcel from them the other day in the post, and they sent me an entire replacement deck. Completely free of charge.
Yeah.
So that, I have to say, is some of the best customer service I've ever had from a company. So thank you very much indeed, Fantasy Flight Games.
FFG have done me a good service before. They caused the problem originally, but it didn't matter so much. I bought Chaos in the Old World from them, and it arrived, and it was missing one of the decks of cards that's meant to come in it. At first I thought I was being a divvy and just not realising what one of the decks were, but when I went through all the contents I realised it was gone. And I emailed them, and it took a while to get back because I think it was close to Christmas, and they said they were having a long term getting around. But as soon as they read my email, he said, yep, got them, sorry that they weren't in the box, sent them out to you, and then in the next week they arrived.
That's good.
But a lot of board game companies I think are really good for that. They obviously they want to keep you playing their game and buying expansions, and if they fuck you over by not giving you what you need, or even if you lose something and you can't play the game anymore, you know. Yeah,
I was just particularly surprised to get an entire replacement deck.
FFG are great, and I think they've only got one guy who runs a whole department, but that's the impression I got when I emailed them anyway.
Game companies are usually quite good, and in game companies in general, you know, GW, that's always been one of their strengths, is their customer service is quite good.
Yeah,
I think it's the thing is, you know, it's such a small niche market that we all play in that bad news travels fast.
Definitely,
you know, and if somebody's not happy with service, it can have a real effect on the companies. You know, very quickly they can get a reputation for being crappy for customer service, and people will, you know, think twice about buying from them.
Like Waylaid Games.
Yeah.
What have they done recently?
Nothing.
That's a problem. No, but you know what I mean? It's just, you know, so it makes sense to keep people happy. It's not like a DVD or movie studio or, you know, a big high street retailer that can screw people over because they've millions else customers.
They've got a percentage of...
I'd be shocked if we number
stuff that breaks or whatever.
You know, over a few 100,000 in terms of gamers in this country, and probably less than 1 million worldwide.
Probably.
War gamers.
Cool. So as you said, bad news travels fast, so I wanted just to make a big point of this. Good news, it's nice to
FFG customer service.
Fancy Flight Games. You guys are awesome.
They
love your
indeed.
games.
Thank you very much.
Did you see they that I do have news actually. They've announced a remake of an old game called Letters to Whitechapel, which is basically one guy plays Jack the Ripper and everyone else plays a bunch of detectives or sleuths trying to track him down.
Prostitutes, and it sounded like a very
no, not that bad. It reads to me, although I haven't played the original game or this version because it's not out yet, it reads to me very similar to Fury of Dracula, which I think they did, which is the same sort of thing. You're Dracula, you're running around and you can lay traps or run away. You've got a bunch of people trying to track you down and you need to last a certain amount of turns to get to the end, and it's got a really good rating on Board Game Geek. Lots of people like it.
Okay.
Some people don't because it's a cooperative game, and some people have a thing about cooperative games. I don't know whatever. But yeah, it sounds quite good. So I'm looking forward to seeing some reviews on that and how it plays.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, always up for a new board game.
Yes, because there aren't enough to play already.
Indeed.
Is that news?
That was news. This is news.
That's the end.
We are the news. Thank you and good night. Edit that.
I will. Right. Beep boop. So moving on to
news.
Hobby in the week. I know that you talked about your tree man, Tom. Have you been up to anything else?
Absolutely. I want to pause it just in case. Nope, absolutely nothing hobby related at all.
Excellent. Dave?
Painted a couple of skinks I was messing around with some schemes on, realised that I probably need to add in a layer of highlight or shadow, because at the moment the colours are too standouty. That's about it. Oh, I've been reading more of the Thankwell
books.
Thankwell book. I'm about halfway through that one now, I think.
Nice.
Quite enjoying it.
Cool.
Other than that, yeah, just mentioned earlier, looking at avatars of war models, wanting them but not buying them at the moment.
Nice.
That's it. I'm done.
Yeah, I've done nothing. I've been doing loads of DIY stuff around the house.
Oh yeah,
so I've done nothing.
Your tings in the rooms.
Although I have been reading up about various Necromunda gangs,
which leads us to,
which is I segue into hopefully one of our new regular segments. Not necessarily every week, but for the next sort of few months, we're going to try and basically get all of the Necromunda gangs. These were kind of released over the years in like the gang war books and in the journals and stuff. White Dwarfs and all this kind of stuff, and basically take a look at them and see if we can bring them into our campaigns via, each of us playing some of the weird gangs, but also just generally see if we can balance them out and see if we can figure out
tweak
what's wrong
them a
with
bit so they aren't so feckin' broken.
Yeah, because a lot of them are broken, and I'm sure that there are some that were balanced and some that are maybe underpowered, but from the ones that I've read straight away, it seems that they're quite broken.
Yeah, people were having a bit too much fun with them when they made them.
Yeah, exactly. So we figured, it'd be kind of cool to take a look at these gangs, once every now and then, maybe one a month, maybe one every 2 weeks, something like that. And, talk it over, talk about what we think is broken, and if we can fix it, and then try and run the gang, So this week I took a look at the Squat Miners gang.
Spaced Warriors.
Which you mentioned, was it last week? In the last one you...
yeah, I think I mentioned...
You found
we alluded to them and the vampires. I think we did vampires are the next one.
Yeah, vampires...
I'll have a good look over the vampire one and see what I can think of it.
Exactly.
And I'll sit here and be cute.
Yeah.
You can look at some of the other gangs. So yeah, I had a look through it. Generally, I think it's quite a good list. Okay, it's definitely a good list in that it's overpowered, but I think it's quite a fluffy list. The guy that wrote it, Phil
Tortorici.
There you go, that guy, Phil. He's obviously, he mentions in that he's a big squat lover, and I'm surprised.
GW, bring back our squats.
I'm surprised this gang even made it in, to be honest, considering that GW's
scrubbed off.
It's like George Lucas and Howard the Duck. He just ignores the fact that it ever existed. So what GW do with squats? We never made squats. They don't exist.
They got eaten by the Tyranids, so now stop talking about them. But he's trying to bring the flavour of this, and they're basically dwarves in 40k. That's what the squats always were. But they have the same sort of pluses and minuses that dwarves had. So I'll start at the beginning, so we'll go through the individual gang members and then the equipments and then the special rules and stuff like that.
But yeah.
So the leader of the gang is called the Prospector. He's 120 creds.
So that's fairly standard for
average
a
leader.
Average leader price. So stat profile, he's got -1 movement, like all dwarves.
So movement 3?
Movement 3. But +1 weapon skill. Same as a leader.
Pretty good.
But -1 ballistic skill.
So
it's 1 less than a ballistic skill of a normal leader. So that's interesting. I wouldn't have necessarily said that squats or dwarves would be bad shooters, but whatever, that's fine. Toughness 3, standard. Strength 3, but toughness 4.
That's very good.
Big bonus, especially early game.
Exactly.
Yeah. For those who aren't that familiar with Necromunda, toughness is an extremely important characteristic, considering most of weapons are Strength 3.
Yeah.
And it's the difference literally is a fighter being able to get up next turn, or a fighter possibly not being able to get up for the rest of the game. That's the difference between being wounded or not.
So that's a big thing, and that's something that, as you'll see, is carried through the whole gang. That they all start with toughness 4, so that is a big plus.
Spoilers.
That makes sense to a certain extent. That's again dwarves and
squats. Yeah,
because they're so short, all their skin is a lot more dense because it's like a normal person that's been squashed down.
Just as tough as an ogre.
Exactly like you.
That's sharp.
1 wound. Yeah. Initiative 3, so -1 on the regular leader. Characteristic, 1 attack. Now, and this is where it gets a bit broken, in my opinion. The standard leadership on the gang as written is leadership 10 for the leader.
Whoa, Nelly!
Which 1 is above maximum human characteristics, and 2 is obviously 2 points above a standard leader's characteristics. Now, considering that in Necromunda, the leadership skill is really quite important because it dictates whether or not you're going to stick around.
We all whine when we get a leadership up on the stat chart when you're rolling for skills and shit, but you soon learn to not regret it because a bottle roll comes along, you're like, wow, I'm glad I got that extra leadership.
Being able to choose to bottle is obviously is something that all gangs get access to, but not being forced to bottle is very useful. And having leadership 10, I'm sorry, but that's too high.
It's very good.
And especially because he's only 120 creds, you think about it, I think that's too high. So my opinion was to knock this down to leadership 9. Mm-hmm. So he's already tougher than a leader, at the most standard gangs leaders. But again, that fits with the kind of dwarf squats theory, Yeah. And 9 is still hard, but you lose him, and then suddenly your gang is the same as other gangs, leadership 8 on the regular guys. So I didn't think that was too bad. Leadership 9. Maybe he needs a bit of a bump in the credits as well. 120 creds. Maybe he needs to go up a little bit. But, that's what I thought for stat line wise. Now, weapons he can get... So everyone gets a miner's pick instead of a knife. Now, we come to the miner's pick later on in the weapons, but just remember that. So everyone gets a miner's pick. He can get, close combat range, specials, grenades, shotguns, etc. Standard stuff. Same leadership rules. Anyone within 6 inches can use his leadership tests to get that.
And avoid pinning as well.
To avoid pinning, all that kind of stuff. Now, they've all got resilient as a rule. Now, resilient is basically they are anything that's poison. They get to roll twice on the serious injury table and choose which result to apply.
Okay.
So, but obviously that's
limited. So they go out of action to a poison thing.
But only to poison.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
what poisoning thing is. Some of the creatures are going to be poisoned, aren't they?
Crypt ghoul things that he uses in his
crypt ghouls,
gang will be poisoned.
Some of the plants, and you can get buy poison. Blade venom, exactly. So it's rare.
But it could happen.
And
it'll make a difference.
It's certainly not a bad rule to have.
No. I'm not sure if that really fits with dwarves, miners. I'm not sure I ever read about them being resilient to poison.
Inhaling, it says in the thing, doesn't it, they're used to it because of their conditions they work in. Obviously inhaling lots of gold dust has made them a bit resilient to
inhaling, maybe they just start with respirators or something. I'm not sure why the resistance to poison specifically.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's not. I don't think it's a particularly broken rule because I don't think it will come into play very often. But they've all got that. And now this is another point of contention that I've read a lot of people don't like on the internet, and this is the encumbrance rule. So they're blah blah blah, used to moving great loads and working with cumbersome equipment. To represent this, all miners are considered to have the abilities of a heavy and therefore use heavy weapons. And in addition, he's basically not encumbered either, and he can wear carapace armour without an initiative penalty.
Ooh.
So, everyone has this encumbrance rule. Everyone.
Wow.
So basically you've got a gang of heavies.
Wow.
Now they do mention in there that you're still restricted to the whole 2 heavy rule. Yeah, 2 heavy weapons. But it doesn't prevent you from having special weapons. So you could have an entire gang with flamers.
Or plasma guns.
Or melter guns or something like that. Now that I think is
flamers I could see
broken.
being extremely good with dwarves because they've got the high toughness, so they're going to get pinned more often than not, and they've got the high leadership that they're going to get up and then walk forwards and then shoot in the face with 3 flamers.
Do they not need to have a specialist weapon selection, or is that different for them?
No, well this is that is it. They can all use heavy weapons, that's what it says. Although technically it says heavy weapons and not special weapons.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you might be able to argue that either way.
Yeah.
But I think the key thing about this is, even though the skill, the list says that they still suffer from the maximum of 2 heavy weapons in the gang,
if one of them
it doesn't.
dies,
it doesn't specify who has to have it. So you just wait for the first guy to get a ballistic skill upgrade, and you just give him the heavy weapon. So
makes it a bit easier to tailor your gang.
Exactly, and that's I think what people don't like about that rule.
Yeah.
So I would be inclined to say something like no
encumbrance for the heavies, but you have to specify who's the heavy. And that's just them.
And it's 2 heavies or special weapons or something like that, or perhaps up to 2 heavies and 2 specialists or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's something that needs tweaking.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then the final skill they have is Nerves of Steel. All squat miners have Nerves of Steel. I forget which skill that is.
Nerves of Steel is...
Is it re-roll leadership tests?
I think it's the avoid pinned thing.
I think it's
Iron. True Grit is 1 on 2 on Flesh Wound.
Yeah, it's Frosty.
What's it called again?
Nerves of Steel.
Does anyone know what type of skill it is?
Ferocity.
Oh, Ferocity. Sorry, if we said Frosty, I was wondering.
Stay frosty, people.
Frosty skill.
Oh, which is good. If the model fails a dice roll to avoid being pinned, it may make the roll again.
Oh, okay, so that basically is kind of
Beginning
supposed to counteract the whole low initiative thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, seems a bit good. Maybe we'll come back to that one.
Okay.
But yeah. So then you got your regular miners. Now this is, I guess, where they tried to balance it out a bit.
Oh wow, 80.
They're 80 creds each rather than
creds.
50.
That's expensive for a ganger.
That is,
so that's really expensive.
especially if you do want to be equipping multiple heavy weapons into the gang.
So you've got movement 3, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 3. Toughness 4, as we mentioned earlier, 1 wound, initiative 2, which is really low. You think about that, that's a 1 in 3 chance that you're going to pass anything like that.
Yeah.
Obviously you've got your reroll, which brings the odds to...
I have no idea, I'm not a good
Really?
mathematician.
I thought you were always working your odds out in your
No.
fantasy tournament.
I do, but only when I can sort of write them down. You ask me to do
Okay.
something on the fly, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know, this is simple addition, I'm probably going to end up with...
What are we trying to figure out?
A 1 in 3 chance, but over 2 rolls. So 1 in 3 with a reroll.
I have no idea.
It's probably
I think it
less
bumps
than
it up
half.
like 50% or something. So you
I was
go
gonna
up
say,
to
I think
like...
it's around 50%.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I think
Well,
it's
anyway.
50%.
So you got initiative 2, attacks 1, and then again, rules as originally written, leadership 9, which again, too high.
Yeah.
So I knock it down to leadership 8.
Well, then you could argue why you're paying 80 credits for.
Well, toughness 4 for 1,
Yeah.
and all these extra abilities, such as resilient, encumbrance, and nerves of steel. And the whole point is that, if anything, you should err on the side of them being a bit too expensive than a bit too cheap.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know.
And leadership 8 is still crazy high.
Yeah,
for a
leadership
game.
8 is still brilliant.
Is that
So, yeah.
their lowest? Is that their
No, they do have an equivalent of a Juve. So yeah, they have all the same skills I mentioned before. They're resilient, so poison, roll twice. Encumbrance, so yeah,
Nerves
heavy
of steel.
weapons, and nerves of steel.
Juves?
Yeah, and then moving on, you've got the Jews, which are called slaggers.
Slags.
So they're 40 credits each.
Which is almost a ganger.
Yeah, which is almost a ganger on a
They're
normal
standard
one.
though. It's half price of a ganger, isn't it? So
And they have what you'd expect. Movement 3, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2, strength 3,
Toughness
4, 1 wound, initiative 2, so it doesn't drop to initiative 1, thank God. 1 attack, and rules originally, leadership 8. Which
I don't think
push
Juve's
down.
initiative drops below a ganger either.
No,
though,
it probably
does
doesn't.
They
No,
say
it's
they're-
weapon skill
they're
and ballistic
free.
skill, they're down by
Yeah.
1.
And leadership.
Yes, only.
And yeah, so I pushed the leadership down to 7.
Yeah.
40 credits. Same things. Now, here's one point that I picked up. So, here it says that they can only be armed with items from the close combat from the close combat list.
Really? But no weapon guns at all?
And that, exactly.
Okay.
Which I thought was a bit weird.
Especially as limiting them to only being able to do anything in combat, really, when their movement 3 seems a little bit harsh.
Right. So I added plus pistols.
That's exactly
like
what I was
every
gonna
other
suggest.
Juve in every other gang.
Yeah. To be honest, I think I'm actually reconsidering taking pistols on my Juves in my movement 4 gang, but it's nice to have the option of being able to go each way, being able to make them shooty or just give them a knife and have them running around.
Right, well, if you give them a pistol though, then you've got something to use in close combat.
Yeah. I mean, here it sort of means just looks like you're pigeonholing them into a role which they're not suited to fill necessarily.
And they've still only got weapon skill 2 and strength 3. So they're no better in combat than any other Juve.
The toughness 4 does mean that they'll probably get into combat though. They are far superior meat shield, so that extra point of toughness again, big difference.
You would hope. Resilient again. Now encumbrance, it does specify that. Now this is a bit, I don't know why it's here in the rules, but it says the same thing. However, obviously when he becomes a miner, so when he levels up with the experience, he automatically gains the use of heavy and can use heavy weapons.
Yeah.
Gains the abilities of the heavy. It still says a miner gang can still only contain 2 heavy weapons. So that's a bit where it mentions the fact that you've only got a maximum of 2 heavy weapons.
Is that the only place it
everyone's
mentions
a heavy. That's the only place it mentions it for some reason.
Huh.
But yeah, so and you've also got Nerves of Steel.
Yeah.
So that's your
That's
gang
normally quite
members.
a tough thing with Jews as well, but because they've got low initiative or ganger initiative, but you send them out in the front, and then if they've got no one nearby, or if they've got a pack of Jews, they're not strong-willed enough to escape pinning because they don't bolster each other. So if you've got Nerves of Steel and you can re-roll if you get that chance, it's quite a bit of a boon.
Yeah, but then you're there 40 points.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So you got that.
Well,
So that's your gang. So that's your basic makeup. Now, I wrote myself a little list just to show you what you could sort of fit in a gang.
Okay.
So this gives you an idea of something that I would potentially like to run. So you can see I've only managed to get 9 guys in there.
Yeah.
That's obviously your prospector, your leader, 2 slaggers, and 6 guys.
You have tooled all of these up quite extensively. From what I can see on mine, one of them's got a shotgun,
and you haven't gone back to the pick yet, actually.
Sorry, we'll come up to that one. I was just thinking about
just because they're all listed
point costs. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, I did tool them up a bit. I could have gone more bodies, crapper weapons, but you wouldn't have got much more in there.
Okay.
I don't think you've tooled them up that much. I mean,
I don't have a heavy.
4 of them have basic weapons. 2
Yeah.
shotguns with normal shells and 2 auto guns, and then 2 of them have a chain and an auto pistol.
Basically, and you've got to think the extra shells are worth 10 credits for both of those. They're 5 each, so it's only an extra 10 points.
Hot shot shells, tiki.
Yeah, and the chain again is only worth an extra 5 points on these guys, and they've only got pistols. So if they just had las guns instead, and if the shotgun guys had like las guns, that would be the same as the list as it is pretty much.
What about the slaggers at the bottom? Why are
So
they
the slaggers, I just put them at the bottom.
Okay, fair enough.
That's how I run them. But yeah, and they've just been given an auto pistol. That's it. So with all of this, I've kept 65 creds in the stash.
Yep.
You've still got 9 people out of it, which is good.
Well,
considering the prices.
You're right, and the reason I kept 65 creds in the stash is because they don't actually have any heavy weapons that they can take from the start.
So you have to go get them at the trading post.
Yeah, they don't have access to any heavy weapons, so you have to go to the trading post to get it.
Okay.
And obviously 65 creds isn't enough to get one anyway,
No,
but
you're going to need to save up.
Exactly. You can take special weapons, but as we mentioned, there's no rule that actually says that anyone can take special weapons. They can only take heavy weapons.
So you need specialists to get those.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But it seems a bit dumb.
It does. See,
Almost
I'd
like it was a
be
mistake rather than
inclined
design.
to
I would have
extend that to include special weapons.
That's what I
That
thought.
seems to be the intention to me.
But still limit the overall to 2.
To 2.
So a mix.
2 heavy or special.
Unless someone gets a
See,
specialist.
do other gangs have that though?
Well, other gangs...
Well, they have
heavy,
maximum
yeah.
2 heavies.
2 heavies.
As in
The
the
heavies have
yeah.
access to heavy
Specials.
and special weapons.
Yeah, they're
that's
the only
true.
people that
So
can
it's
take
the
special.
same.
specialist, don't
So you could have a heavy with a special and a heavy weapon.
Yeah.
You could, yeah.
But, yeah.
So I think... I don't see any reason... I like the idea that they are never encumbered. So even though they can't
Yeah, that bit's
use...
fluffy and makes sense.
Yeah. It's like if I roll up specialist and I decide to give someone a melter gun, he's not encumbered in combat. Or is it only heavy weapons?
No, it's
that are
only heavy
encumbered?
weapons to give you a -1 in
Then
close
that rule
combat.
the rule is pointless then, I guess.
I thought it was anything which you had in 2 hands.
No,
No,
because
that means you
encumbered
can't
is,
use 2 weapons.
Yeah,
Okay.
encumbered is -1 in combat.
Right, okay.
If your heavy gets charged or he's in combat, he will have a -1 to his weapon
Yeah.
skill for carrying.
Okay.
The only way to cancel that is it bulging biceps?
Something like that.
No, no, that lets you
move and fire.
Move and fire.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
It's-
sure there's a skill.
There
Maybe
is
I'm
a
wrong.
skill. But anyway, so I'm not sure what to do with that. Maybe I don't like the idea that anyone can be a heavy.
Yeah,
Because it's just going to bounce around to whoever's got the highest ballistic skill.
Yeah.
And that seems a bit off to me.
Tell us about picks.
Alright,
I wanna know about
we'll
it.
shelve that. Well, I'll go through the other rules. So, they're Outlanders,
Yay!
so they can only have 1 territory piece. They do have their own territory table, though, to
Right.
represent the fact that they're kind of miners. So your choice are Ruins, Rad Zone, Slag Heap, Workshop, Watering Hole, or Mine Workings. Mine Workings
So
being the
Mine Workings
best
is
thing that
special.
they can get.
Yeah.
Well, Mine Workings is the same one as in the Necromunda book.
Is there a mine workings in the Necromunda book?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like D6 times 10, and every time you capture
I don't
a
think
gang, you can put them to work in a
I've
mine.
Ever come across
And you
that
add +1.
Yeah,
I've got one in
exactly.
my gang.
So they're quite good. But, other than Mine Workings, the rest of them give you crap all income.
one? Yeah.
Which is how it should be for an Outlander gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only difference is they can dump their territory whenever they want, because they're nomadic, and move on. So at the end of each game, you just re-roll.
Right.
You can just re-roll and try it again. Yeah. And obviously, as soon as you hit the mind workings, you're just going to stop.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have any objection to them being able to dump things, but maybe we need to put a limit on how many times they can work a mine. Something like that, so that, you know, perhaps you can work a mine working until you roll a double. And at that point...
Isn't it 1 dice on a mine working?
For them, it's 2d6.
Right.
I don't think...
Oh, well, yes, d6 times 10 normally.
Yeah, so for them, it's 2d6. So perhaps we do something like, if you roll a double, then they exhaust that particular mine, and then they have to move on.
Okay. And what's the chance of them rolling up a mine? Is it 1 in 6?
Not quite. Slightly worse.
Slightly worse. Okay.
61 is a watering hole. 62 to 66 is mine markings. So ever so slightly less than 1 in 6. So if you think 1 out of extra 6 games, you've got a chance of rolling it, but then every time you work it, you've got a chance of exhausting it as well.
Yeah.
Water hole's a new one. You get the water steel in the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's just
That's just a 10 credits.
I don't know, I'd need to think about that. For a start, the first thing I would definitely do, as you've done, is drop all of their leaderships down by 1.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think that would be quite a good starting point, and do that, and then... If there's is there anything else that jumps out at you as being particularly broken, other than the apparently unlimited special and heavy weapons?
So there was other things. Where was it? Okay. Yeah, okay, so the next thing would be their actual equipment. Okay. So...
Oh, yeah. The guns.
As Dave mentioned, constantly mentioned. Actually, quickly, before we move on to equipment, they're skill lists.
Mm-hmm.
So they only really have access to ferocity and techno. Nothing else. Only the prospector can take... Oh, and muscle, sorry. So they haven't got shooting, they haven't got combat, which I would consider to be the 2 main skill lists, with all the rest being kind of backup. Well, not backup, auxiliary skill lists. So that's kind of interesting. I don't have a problem with that, but it'd be interesting to see how the gang develops, because
definitely.
You can't really augment them in the way that they, you know, actually work. You can't get any of those skills.
Yeah.
So, you know, that'd be interesting. So, and then we come on to their actual weapons. So, they've got their own type of armour. They've got their own bombs. Okay, yeah, let's start with the bombs.
Grenades.
Mining demolition charges. So, it mentions in the actual stat list for the mining demolition charges that they can be thrown. And it's user strength times 2.
Okay.
Which is slightly different to how Necromunda works. They can't be thrown quite as far. Because normally it's 2 plus strength 2. Yeah. However, when you read the description, it kind of goes against that. It's like they're like melter bombs almost, which can't be thrown. You know, it's talking about how they're big and clunky, but can be used for booby traps.
Right.
So I was almost inclined to take away the fact that they can be, because they've got this whole set of rules about how they're used as booby traps.
Okay. And then you just throw them at people.
But then you can just throw them, and then they just work like a grenade. So I was almost inclined to say that they can't be thrown. And the way they work as a booby trap is you put a dice down with a number on it, so anywhere from 6 to 2.
Yeah.
And at 1, it explodes. And what you have to do is you have to roll above the dice roll, or it counts down by 1.
Oh.
So if it's at a 6, you have to roll a 6, otherwise it will go down to a 5.
Okay.
Next turn, you have to roll a 5 plus, otherwise it goes down to a 4.
Do you have to roll?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it will keep going down until it hits a 1, and then it'll explode.
Yeah.
You get to choose what the starting dice value is.
Again, it's not mentioned,
but
I would assume so, yeah. Special conquest, you have a number from 2, so set a die may not move.
It says set a die, so I presume if you set a die, then you get to choose the value that goes in it.
Yeah. Oh, actually, sorry, no, I lied. If you roll higher than the number on the bomb, then it doesn't go off, but then it still ticks down. But if you roll under, it explodes.
Okay.
So it's always going to explode when it hits 1.
Yeah.
But if you roll under, then it'll go off. And again, it doesn't specify any range on the bombs.
So is it a frag?
It doesn't say. All it says is it's strength 5, D4 damage. I don't know why D4, but whatever.
Change to D3. There you go.
Yeah, -2 to save, and it's got a 6-up ammo. Again, I don't know why it's got an ammo roll, but fine. The only thing I was going to say, maybe make it a large blast. And the only reason I was going to say make it a large blast is because they're 40 credits.
Oh, yeah, large blast, I think.
Yeah,
Definitely
so they're expensive.
Same as Frag.
And they're really easy to avoid, especially if we're taking away the fact that they can be thrown.
Yeah.
You just have to place them, and then that's it. So I was
maybe
thinking
they
large
say you're
blast.
thrown because it's like timed mines. You know, you go, quick, I'll set a fuse on this of however much and lob it, and then it explodes after time.
Yeah,
so it's not
maybe.
necessarily so bad.
Maybe.
I
And they
think
just
maybe
sit
just
where they get
their
thrown.
dependence in the description to say, oh, it's a booby trap kind of mine. They're really encumbering and blah blah blah, and then you say, oh, you just lob them.
Possibly.
It sounds a bit contrary to design, but
So yeah, so you got them. You've also got Chain Jack, which is their type of armour. Now it gives you a 4-up save, but only against blast weapons or low-tech weapons.
okay.
So anything with a blast template,
Yeah.
so flamers, frag grenades, not shotgun shells anymore, but which originally would have been shotgun shells. Ironically, heavy plasma cannons. And any low-tech weapons in hand-to-hand combat, so they give the example swords, clubs, and pit slave shears.
Wow.
It gets
okay.
a 4-up save.
what about basic pistols like stop guns?
Doesn't get a save.
Okay, cool.
So this is the thing.
Doesn't get a save at all.
Doesn't get a save.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's fairly common. Everyone can buy it. It costs 25 creds per suit.
Yeah, it's quite expensive.
I dropped that to 20 creds
Makes sense.
because it's 4-up, but it's like flat,
It's limited.
but it's really limited in its
Really
use.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had that dropped. Okay, so next we've got some combat weapons. So they've got a mattock or pickaxe.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is weird, right? So rules as written: close combat only, strength as user, damage as 1. But
So a knife.
it's a knife, but draws, due to the ponderous lurching swing required to wield this weapon, any combat which ends in a draw will always be won by your opponent, regardless of weapon skill or initiative. So it's a shit knife.
It's a knife, which means you auto lose any
It's a shit
draws.
knife.
Oh, did I mention that it's two-handed as well?
What?
So it's a really, really shit knife.
So they use picks instead of knives.
Yeah. But they can take knife, and it's also free.
Okay, so that's irrelevant.
Right, so
Essentially.
what I said was, just make it strength +1.
That makes sense.
So then it's
worth
a
considering.
great weapon that's crapper because it's not as strong, but has different disadvantages.
Yeah.
But it's free.
Yeah. You'll
So
also
you're
lose
like,
any draws,
yeah.
but when you win a combat, you're more likely to put someone down.
Exactly. But, you know, it's still got 2-hand weapons, so you can't
Yeah.
plus it up with swords
Yeah.
to get
No,
parries
sure,
and
plus
extra
one
stuff.
makes
So I figured, okay, that seems okay.
It's not broken in the sense of anyone else can just take a one-handed club and get a strength +1 anyway. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they generally have to pay for that.
oh yeah,
The
they have to
downside
pay
is
for
that
it,
it's
yeah.
being free, but it has the downside of auto losing any draws.
Well, that's the
Yeah,
thing. This
I like
one's
that.
balanced out.
And
A
it's
club
kind of
has
fluffy.
no downside.
Yeah.
You're right, a club is better in general, but it's kind of fluffy, and
Yeah.
you know, I thought that makes sense. So next one is a shovel. It's also two-handed. However, the miner is trained in the art of the shovel and able to parry attacks.
It's quite cool.
So it's a two-handed sword
Yeah.
that doesn't give you any strength bonus. But it's free. Oh, sorry. Not only does it not give you a strength bonus, it gives you a negative strength bonus. -1.
The shovel's -1.
-1 strength.
I
But it's free.
I quite like that.
Same. It's two-handed, it lets you parry, but it's at -1 strength, and it's free. And I was kind of like, yeah, alright, I can see that, you know. It's not over.
Yeah.
So
Certainly
you get
not
to choose
overpowered.
one of these that go on your person, or do they all have a shovel and a pick?
Yeah, no, it says you get to choose.
Okay.
I get the impression that what you could do then is take several juves with shovels whose intention is just to not. Maybe they'll win combat, but they won't do any damage to anyone. But
Tie
the way,
people up.
But wait,
Stand there, be toughness
yeah.
4,
And also the way the combat rules work is that when you fight someone, say I fight Adam's leader with my juve, and the juve lives, and I then fight Adam's leader again in that same turn with the ganger actually gets bonuses for being the second one to fight. So the aim probably is that the juve runs in, doesn't die, and feeds bonuses onto the ganger.
Exactly. But overall, I thought, okay, well, I don't think they're overpowered shovels.
No, I don't think so either.
They're not power shovels.
Power shovels. That would
An
be quite
energy
cool.
unit onto them.
Chainsaws.
The crackling
Chain
lightning comes
shovel.
off of the head of the
Yeah.
shovel as he digs the latrine.
So there you go. So that's the combat weapons. Well, actually, there's one more, but we'll move on. So next one is the las cutter.
Yay!
Right.
I've been waiting for this one.
Now this thing is
Dirt.
okay. So it's not listed as a heavy weapon. It's listed as a special weapon. That's the first thing I disagree with, because it's a las cannon. Strength 9, 2d6 damage, only -2 save, but whatever.
Boo-hoo.
A 2-up ammo, so it is a las cannon. But the range is 0 to 8 short range, 9 to 16. So also apparently, if you're 8.5 inches out, it's neither long nor short range. But I assume that they meant to say 8 to 16 long range.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a really short range las cannon.
So it's basically a pistol on speed.
+2 to hit short, -1 long. It
It's
is
a
a
pistol.
las pistol that is strength 9.
It's a las cannon
Right.
pistol.
How
A
many
las cannon.
credits is this?
95.
There we are.
But it's not a heavy, it's a special. So technically, as the gang is written, you could have everyone with one.
Well, no, because the encumbrance thing doesn't
2.
specify special weapons. It only specialises heavy ones.
Well, that's the other thing, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
everyone's got techno access, so they could easily get the
Yeah.
specialist and then get them.
Correct.
See, I don't mind that, because in order for you to have multiple, you'd have had to have multiple level ups
Yeah.
and rolled on techno and have rolled specialist and have had 100 credits
yeah.
spare to get that, which for an Outlander gang is going to be relatively difficult to get.
Yeah.
Especially with the starting number of dwarves being quite low. I don't imagine you'll have that many credits coming in
If
to
you
begin with.
figure into not the encumbering rule, not meaning you can have any number of specialist gangers
Yeah.
as well, then yeah, it's not so bad.
We could do that. The only the change
It's
that
still
I
a dirty
suggested
weapon.
Oh yeah.
was just make it a heavy weapon.
Yes.
But if you guys don't think it's particularly broken, I'm happy to play it as it is and then see how it works out.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that broken purely because of the cost. I think the cost is going to be too prohibitive for it to be more than 1 or 2 in a gang.
Yeah, you're probably
You
right.
wait a few
That's
games
it.
down the line, he's going to have a gang of like 12 dwarves. They've all got less.
Yeah,
colours.
then I'll roll out my 2,500 credit gang where I've got basically 3 space range running around and it with power swords.
But you have to bear in mind, as strength 9, it's also a high impact weapon.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So it's 5 or 6
out of action.
out of
Oh,
action.
was it?
Right, okay.
But anyway, so yeah, okay. Well, as you said, it's quite hard to get hold of, and it is quite expensive. So, and this is the other thing: it is actually a rare weapon. So they have their own trade chart, and you have to roll it. You can't just buy
okay.
it. So that, in fact, further decreases the chance of you actually being able to get
I
the
think
thing.
once you get it, it will be bent. But the
Yeah.
difficulty of getting
Yeah.
it will balance that out.
And it's one
Like,
roll
you-
on the
yeah,
D66.
Wow.
You've taken your time to earn this, now reap the rewards of what you have sown.
Disarm, you say?
That would suck.
Yes.
For people listening, disarm is a combat skill where when you're fighting someone in hand-to-hand combat and you have disarm, you essentially pick one of their weapons, and on a 4+, it's just destroyed forever.
Not
and
even
ever.
when you're fighting combat. Before the combat starts, you have to
Yes.
get into combat.
Yeah.
But you could lose horribly. But the first thing you get to do before you find out who wins or loses is break one of their weapons.
So it's particularly funny when you're playing against heavies, where they sling their heavy stubber onto their back.
pull
I
out
think
their
we said
sword.
we wouldn't do it on ranged weapons.
We said anything that wasn't being used in combat.
Yeah.
So
it's
if you're
just-
using an auto pistol or a plasma pistol or something in combat, I can break that.
It just seems
But
a little
yeah.
bit douchey to run into a heavy, lean round behind him and cut his heavy stubber in half.
Yeah, it's all
a bit
through the
harsh.
barrel.
Hilarious but harsh.
Completely on an unrelated, or kind of related but not, to what we're doing now. There's also another expansion for Necromunda that lets you hire dogs, so you can have packs of dogs in your gang.
Nice.
They all have disarm.
Oh god!
So they just run up and wrestle your weapon away from you.
Yeah, just run up and bite your heavy stubber in half. But anyway, I read the dogs rules already, and that's definitely something we'll have to explore in a later thing.
On, okay.
But they're brilliant. I think we should do dogs. Anyway,
It's crazy.
So yeah, las cutter. So the next one is the rock drill, and that's basically the same weapon as the pit slaves, except for it's
okay.
two-handed weapons, and they can use it.
They like two-handed.
Which I was like, yeah, okay, I'm fine with that. I didn't think
what's
there was
it
anything
called?
broken. It's 55 points. It's also a rare weapon, so you have to roll it up.
Yeah.
It's a two-handed weapon. It's got the same stats as the rock drill.
Which are? I forgot.
Oh, it's something stupid like strength 4, but for every attack that you win, you can push it up by a strength.
Oh yeah, because you keep drilling in.
Yeah, you basically drilling in. It's not in that book. It'll be in the original
not in that,
Outlanders
okay.
book.
For the pit slaves.
We can check that in a bit. Cool. But yeah, so that's the rock drill. Then the final funky weapon that they've got is the Sonic Cleanser.
That sounds like a douche machine.
It's the Sonic Screwdriver from Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
Combat only.
I'm sure I've got a toothbrush called that.
Yeah. It's combat only. And basically what it does is if you win with it, it will knock the model back 2 inches.
What?
So it's kind of interesting. It literally just pushes them away.
Directly back or back?
Successful hit will knock the model back 2 inches.
So as long as they move further away from you, can push someone almost directly sideways. So you hit them, they fall 2 millimeters back, but 2 inches to the left, and fall off a gantry.
It's going to need to be
that's exactly.
I think.
It's just directly away from combat.
That might. I mean, you can still get around it by the angle you choose.
And flip. To be fair, if it is like a Sonic Screwdriver, you could just kind of go like that for someone.
Can
but
bring it different angles.
It does say that if you're within initiative test. Take within 1 inch of a building, so take the initiative test basically, but it's at +1 to the roll, so you're more likely to fall off. So +1 to your dice roll.
Oh, I see.
And obviously you have to roll under your initiative.
Yeah,
exactly. And you've been forcefully pushed.
It's a bit like a shotgun, but in combat.
Yeah. So that was, kind of cool. If you get knocked down by it, you also half your weapon skill. So if you're still in combat with someone,
okay,
half your weapon skill. Every time you use it, you have to roll an ammo check as well because it's kind of charged.
I see.
What's
the ammo roll on
4
it?
up.
Yeah.
It's 50 creds.
Again, I can see that getting much, much better once you get a couple of armourers in your game.
Yeah. It's 50 creds and it's a rare weapon.
Okay.
So you have to roll it as well.
Right.
So,
okay.
I didn't think there was anything particularly wrong with that.
No, I wouldn't say so.
So yeah. And then the final thing is not a weapon, but a miner's map. And this is something you can roll on the chart, the Outlaw Trade chart.
Okay.
Now, they haven't actually assigned a value to this. So they haven't told you how much it costs to buy it. So you listen to what it is, and you tell me what you would think. I've already got a value in my head about what I think it's worth. But I did write it down. Dave may have seen. But it's fine, it's not a big deal. So anyway, yeah, basically it's kind of like Ratskin map, but it lets you get some funky stuff. So it's a D6 roll when you bought it. You have to roll before you buy it to its value.
Right.
And then once you bought it, you get to roll on the table.
Okay.
It's either a fake, you get nothing. It's worn and incomplete, you still get nothing. 3, it's vague and inaccurate. D6 times 5 creds.
Immediately? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ancient and faded. D6 times 10, and then you get tunnels. Or you can swap your territory for tunnels if you want.
Okay.
So it's basically an ancient and faded map.
Yeah.
5, an equipment stash. It's been mined out, but there's some equipment left in the mines. And then you roll another D6, and you can either get some mattocks and shovels, a suit of chain jack, explosives for 1 miner, a rock drill, but it costs you money to get it working, which I thought was kind of cool.
Okay.
Costs you D6 times 5, so it's essentially like getting a free roll on the rock drill chart, and it could be quite cheap. Or a Sonic Cleanser, you just get it. So again, it's kind of cool. And then a roll of a 6 on the original table is you just get a mine working. So obviously that's the good thing. So you can instantly swap your territory for mines working.
And they put no value on it whatsoever. Have they not told you what it's meant to cost?
No. No.
They
nothing.
just say you pay for it before you get it.
Correct. It says...
So it's going to have a
well
variable...
written.
It will have a variable value, I presume.
That's what I thought it should be. And my idea was D6 times 10.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Same as a Ratskin
I was
map.
going to say Ratskin map.
Same as a Ratskin map. Same as like Mungvars, all those items that have that variable payout to them. So I thought D6 times 10. So could be good, could be crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's essentially it. That's their table. That's their gang. I mentioned that the different items are all rares. They're all a 1 entry on their Outlaw Trade chart.
Okay.
So they replace various things, but essentially, yeah, Sonic Cleanser is a 51. Las Cutter is a 41. And they replace flak armour with chain jack, so you've got a reasonable chance of getting that. And they replace smoke bombs, I think. No, what goes there? They replace something with explosives.
Okay.
And it's enough for certain amounts of miners. So yeah, that's basically the
They sound fun.
The squat miner gang. It's interesting. You know, definitely need some balancing.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, most of the changes that we spoke about were
I think so. Let's
were reasonable.
take a light hand to it first of all.
Yeah.
Play some games with it, then if needs be, we can comp or boost in other places.
Cool. Okay. Well, obviously, you know, I've written up my gang as it is, so I'll test that out, see how it runs, and then we'll report back to you guys once we've played a few games with it and see how it fares.
Sounds good.
Excellente.
And next week or whenever you're going to do
I'll go for vampire.
a vampire.
Do something similar.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Sounds good.
So yeah, now we're gonna play a game of something, I think.
Indeed.
So we've got Among the Stars back.
Yeah, I brought that in. That was mainly for Sam's benefit, but
I'm quite happy to play that again.
I play that again.
You play that?
Or we can
Or
do
you
a
play a bit of
Necromunda.
Necromunda.
Or Arkham Horror. Might take 5 hours.
Yeah,
but
9:30, and unfortunately there aren't enough hours left today to play that game, or even set it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, cool. Well, we will
Go away. Leave you alone.
go away, decide on a game we're playing, and then play it, and then we will report back afterwards with how it all went. So yeah, enjoy this song, and we will catch you in a bit. Hello and welcome back to the Attic Game Club podcast.
Yoo-hoo!
Hello. So we've just finished playing a couple of games of Among the Stars.
Can you tell we like it?
Yeah, it's really good. That's twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row that we've decided to play nothing but this game. But it's good fun. It's good fun. Tom has not had to run away to catch his train this time, so he is with us to talk about a bit of after game stuff.
Give you some first-hand opinions
indeed.
this time.
So yeah, Tom. So what do you actually think of the game now?
I think it's really good and has what I like about it has a lot of replay value to it. I think we've deliberately played with a different character each time in the 4 games.
Yeah,
we did.
And each of them has a different. I think some of them are better than others, and I think just from
some have kind of guaranteed VPs, where other ones have more powerful.
Yeah, I think some of them have sort of
fuck people
are better if you sort of understand the nuances of the game a bit more and have a better idea of what cards are going around, which I don't really have yet. But I really like it, and I think each of the characters I've used so far has got me to play it in a different way, which is good. Seeing as there's, a dozen characters?
Yeah, about that. Dozen?
Something like that.
Eight. There you go.
Okay, 8's a pretty good number.
Yeah, and there's 4 kind of basic either like direct abilities, so you get all the colours in your deck, or you get some extra VPs, or you get a bit more money, and there are 4 that are a bit more in depth, so letting you go into the discard pile, add special locations, steal from your opponent's hand. So ones that when you first look at them you think, oh, that's a bit complex, I can't be asked with that, and then later on you're like, yeah, I really want that guy. So
the one thing that has really stood out to me from playing it 4 times now is pick a plan relatively early on.
Yeah, definitely, and stick with it.
Yeah. I've played it sort of
don't get tempted by
3 different ways so far. The first time we played it was of us sort of flopping around, not really knowing what we were doing. The second time I went hell for leather trying to get lots of immediate points, which got me a lot of points.
It
got
works out
me damn close to winning it, but I sort of then was becoming a bit of a target for people sort of putting each other ahead instead of and me going back or what have you. And then I today tried going for the longer game, but I sort of tried to get into the long game too late.
Yeah.
So I was able to catch up with people after having been behind the whole game.
That 4th turn comes around pretty quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I basically wasted the entire first turn trying to compete with Dave and then not bothering to compete from the second turn onwards. So I basically wasted 4 or 5 cards.
With the reg, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing. I saw it the other way until we hit turn 2. I was looking at you thinking, oh shit, he's got 1 more than me, so I don't know if I'm going to be in the runs for this.
What happened?
It just came down to what cards
going into
came
the
up.
end of the first year, I decided to build another power reactor just in case if I got something I'd be guaranteed if I could use the power immediately and had a hand on. And then a shield generator came up and I thought, that's brilliant, I'm going to dump all my power into it. Played that immediately, and the next hand I got had 2 really good cards I wanted but couldn't use and had to give them on to Dave, at which point you sort of pulled ahead because I thought, well,
capitalised on that, yeah, definitely. And my guy's ability really helped out there as well, because it meant that I could see the reds, not have to buy them, and then steal them from people I'd given to.
So I'd be planning on getting. I'd see a card and think, oh, I quite want this, and it would come around again. I think, yeah, I can take it now, and I'm already prepared for it.
And then
it's no, it's mine
from your clutches.
So yeah, 4 games. It gets a lot better from the second time onwards when you actually. It's the kind of standard board game thing of you play the first turn kind of in the dark, and from the second turn you think, oh, so that's how it works, and you look down at your station, you realise that it's just going in 16 different directions at once, and you've completely shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, just what was the other Tom said the other week, didn't he? Like, first turn you learn the rules, second turn you kind of get used to it, and third turn you realise everything you've done wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, really like it, really good game.
Awesome. Yeah, same opinions from me and I think Adam as well.
Yeah,
as we expressed last week. Cool.
Yeah,
cool game, good fun, easy to pick up. And, once you get to your second game, you pretty much know everything you need to know. Then after that, it's just a case of card counting and trying to remember what you gave to someone.
Yeah.
So who won the first game?
I did.
And then it was you.
Was it me? You won the second.
You won the second game.
No, I meant so Dave won the first one. Then do you remember who was second and third?
We came joint. I think we were on top of it.
Could be.
Or was I 1 point ahead? I can't remember.
It was very close from the second time.
Very close. Yeah.
So I've not won a game yet, which is annoying.
Yeah, you did. Last week you won one game when you
think so.
you got all the reds and you just stormed ahead and
No,
you
I
actually
drew.
won. Oh, did you draw in the end?
Yeah.
Oh,
that
you
the
did
one
draw
where
without
I-
them.
It was
yeah.
a draw or
I
I got
shot
kicked to the
up right
post.
at the end.
Yeah. Okay, but it almost paid off.
Almost.
Almost.
So, yeah. Lots of
Yeah.
different ways to play the game depending on what character you get and what way you want to play it, I think.
I think it definitely is all about blue for me, being both my favourite colour and an awesome deck of cards in this game.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Cool. So yeah, another successful session of Among the Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Artipia Games.
But we're going to bring it around again because Sam really wants to play it as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But it'll be cool to see the 4-player game in action with you guys. Cause
Yeah. But
I've
we'll
only
make sure
played it once.
we'll make sure we play something else as well next week. So we got something else
Yeah.
to talk about.
Yeah.
Although something we didn't mention, but last week after we played Among the Stars and after Tom left,
We
Dave and I sat
got
down and played.
touchy-feely.
We did get touchy-feely playing a bit of Tentacle Bento.
Hey, or you can try and make some tentacle sound effects. Oh no, damn it, that's good.
Next time you play that game, you have to get hold of this new Warriors of Chaos Beast and have it run on the side of the board.
Yeah. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, Tentacle Bento, it was the Kickstarter, well, failed Kickstarter by the guys, that do Relic Knights,
Yeah.
Soda Pop Miniatures.
No thanks to Kotaku, you bunch of whiners.
Oh, fuck Kotaku, man. But yeah, it originally was hosted on Kickstarter, but they got a bit of bad press from that lame-ass site, Kotaku, that like to bitch and moan if something doesn't fit in their what they believe industries should have,
Yeah.
should be like. But anyway, whatever. In the end, they took it onto their own website and did their own kind of mock Kickstarter-y thing where people just bought the game in advance.
And it worked fine. They
It
got
made-
loads for it, didn't
Well, they made more than they did on Kickstarter. Obviously, the Kickstarter hadn't actually finished, so they could have been making more, but they didn't have to pay any fees to Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So they didn't mind too much. You know, they easily made the money back that they had on Kickstarter plus some. Yeah, so we got that, played that. It's a pretty simplistic
It's very simple.
capture game.
And also slightly
Broken.
in a bad way because it's maybe not thought through enough, but we'll come to that, I guess.
We won't go too depth into it because it's pretty simple, but it feels like there's some rules missing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it's really simple. It's only got one A4 page of rules, but it just feels that at certain points, one player can pull ahead and there's almost nothing the other player can do to stop him.
There's no way of really replenishing your hand. I mean, there is, but it's a pretty rubbish mechanic. And
Essentially, the rules say that every turn you draw one card,
Yeah.
and every turn you must discard one card. And once you've played your cards to capture people,
Yeah.
there's no way to get
once
them
you've got
back.
rid of your hand, you're
You're
got no
drawing
cards
one,
left, so you
discarding
draw
it. Drawing one, discarding it. The only way you can pull more than one card is if you pull a card out of the discard deck, which you're allowed to do, as long as you can use it to make a capture immediately. You can pull the card from the discard deck, and you have to pull everything that's also on top of it.
So you have to keep your hand by quite a lot.
Yeah, you have to keep discarding these cards into the discard deck with the hopes that when eventually there's enough cards in the discard deck to make a capture, that it falls on your turn. Because if it falls on the other player's turn, then they're just going to take it, and you're back to square one, where you've got no cards, and there's now nothing in the discard pile either. So we were saying that, perhaps, we would put in, next time we play, some of our own sort of house rules that say, up to, you don't have to discard a card unless you have 5 or more cards in your hand, or something like this. So you have this opportunity to build up cards in your hand.
It was certainly a running theme on a lot on the forums and on. I think there was some stuff on Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
Or some other sites. Everyone was saying, what the hell? Once you use all your cards up,
There's nothing.
you basically sit there bored, not being able to do anything, which means you're just less inclined to spend all your cards early on. And it actually puts one of the main game mechanics out of play because you can do what are called sloppy captures, which use your cards up, but then you can't build on those decks later in the game. So it's just it's a waste of cards, and seeing as cards are such a valuable resource, you don't want to waste them on that kind of mechanic.
Essentially, a sloppy capture is when you use 2 or more different
Mismatching
suits. Yeah, there are like cute, sexy, smart, and sporty are the 4 suits of cards, and what's it called? Not sloppy. The other type of capture.
Sloppy and sexy, pristine, nice, smart.
No, it's like a a royal capture or whatever, the equivalent of a royal flush. It's essentially where you use all 3 cards of the same suit and you'll capture someone, and then if you've done that, you can add more cards to that capture in subsequent turns to build up your points.
So you could draw a single card, have it match suits, and go, okay, I'm going to add it in there.
Yeah. However, if you do a sloppy capture, you can't do that. So there's no reason to do a sloppy capture, because 1, you're burning cards out of your hand for the minimum amount of points that it's possible to get, and 2, it locks those 3 cards out of the rest of the game, because you can never add to those to add points. Yeah. So, again, there's no limit to how many captures you can do during a turn if you have the cards for it.
So you could spooge your whole hand out on first turn of the game, and then sit there doing nothing for the rest of the game.
Exactly. So we were thinking, again, another house rule, perhaps you can only make 1 prime capture, or whatever they were called, a turn, but you can make as many sloppy captures as you want. So again, it's kind of saying, okay, well, if I've drawn too many cards, I can only have a max hand size of this. Yeah. I'll do my prime capture. Shit, I'm still over my max hand size. Well, I may as well do a sloppy capture now just to get the cards out of my hand, because it's better than discarding them. So it seems like there could be room for a version 2 of the rules.
Yeah, either there wasn't enough playtesting done, which I would doubt, or everyone's playing it wrong, which I would also doubt. So I don't know.
I think it's probably the playtesting, to be honest, because from...
Well, you would hope that they did a bit more playtesting.
Well, when they launched the Kickstarter, even though it got taken off, it was less than 6 months, to the point where they released the game, and there were no gameplay vids in between. There was no instructions on how to play it at the Kickstarter phase. They didn't even have the artwork.
On guesswork, artwork, or the
essentially
design idea for the game.
Yeah, essentially. And it's a nice game. It's got really nice artwork, and the rules are there. It just seems they need a bit of tweaking and balancing. But that's fine. I'm sure they're already talking about an expansion, and
so maybe play it with some friends first if they own it before you buy, just to make sure you're enjoying it.
But it's not expensive, and if you like the artwork and you like the stuff that Soda Pop Miniatures does, then it's a nice little collector's item.
Yeah.
And
it certainly looks good.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't regret buying it. So yeah, but that's Tentacle Bento, Soda Pop Miniatures.
No, Tentacle Bento. Ah.
Thanks for that, Dave.
You're welcome.
So that's gaming. We didn't get a chance to play Necromunda, although we might play a little bit now. But
they can't know that third wall.
Fourth wall.
Shut up.
But yeah, so other than what we've just been playing, and maybe some Necromunda soon, what have people got planned?
I am going to assemble and probably not paint my tree man in time for next week, but certainly want to get it assembled. And that's everything.
Nice. And a bit of Necromunda.
Yes.
And a bit of Necromunda. I'm going to a friend's at the weekend, hopefully, if the snow lets up enough and the trains don't fall apart. And we're probably going to play quite a few board games. I'm taking Last Night on Earth for definite, and I think Formula D and something else. And he's got a good few games, including the Terry Pratchett Discworld one, which I've heard mixed reviews about, but it'll be nice to play it firsthand. So that should be cool. Nice board game fueled weekend.
Nice.
Other than that, do a little bit more painting next week, I guess. Read some more bookies. Look forward to the Warrior Chaos release.
Yes.
When's that? Saturday? Next Saturday?
Probably be the beginning of the month, beginning of February. I think it's going to be
so it's going to be a couple of weeks away then.
The new White Dwarf release.
Because next weekend's the 27th, right? So it's going to be a week after.
Yeah,
that,
probably the weekend after.
Okay. What's this week's White Dwarf like? On a tangent.
This month's White Dwarf.
Is it the Dark Angels one?
Yeah, it's the Dark Angels one, and more Hobbit stuff.
I might
I've got it downstairs, you can read it if you want it, it's alright.
Yeah, I'll have a peek then, decide if I want to grab it. Cool,
yeah.
So, tangent there. Yeah. That's me, I think, a little bit of painting, and board games and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I don't think I've got anything planned really. I'm going to keep working on the squats list, see if I can sort of refine that and, balance that out, so try and play test a bit of that. And I really want to build the models for it as well. Go through some dwarf stuff, bit of...
You must still be able to get, well, as long as you don't mind paying ridiculous price for them, you must still be able to get squats on eBay.
You can, but it's almost...
that great though.
The models were a bit shonky, to be honest. Okay. And 2, as you said, you have to pay loads. So I'll be paying anywhere from £5 to realistically £10 plus a model. And 3, I don't think they really fit the Necromunda aesthetic. they're all very much 40k. So big armors, big guns. I think
maybe look like really short Space Marines, which is probably a bit too hard for Necromunda.
Yeah. So I'm thinking just dwarf miners, some 40k bits up them, give them some guns.
Yeah.
Do that. But yeah, we'll see. And hopefully paint some more Necromunda, Gus.
Yeah.
Escher or something like that. So yeah.
That's
us.
Bitches.
Anyone else got anything else?
No.
Anything else from anybody else? Anyone going once, going twice? Sold to the man with the credits.
Cool. Alright, well, that's us for this week then. Thanks for joining us. Remember, if you want to contact us for any reason, you can do so by leaving a comment on our Facebook channel or at the bottom of this video, which is Attic Gaming Club.
There's still time to vote if
I
you
said
want to
Facebook.
decide on the White Knight or the Crow thing.
Nobody cares.
White King.
White King. Actually, I meant YouTube channel, Attic Gaming Club. But also we're on Facebook at Attic Gaming Club. And Twitter, Attic Gaming Club. And Gmail, atticgamingclub@gmail.com.
YouTube.
Feel free to leave us a comment or some messages or thumbs up or thumbs down
Tell
or
us to
whatever.
shut up and go home.
Or tell Dave to shut up and go home. So hope you enjoyed this week and we will catch you soon.
Bye.
I'm going to cut it at the silence.